we will now do chat made me watch this reviews for Supergirl 1984. Okay, so this is not the first time I've watched this movie. I saw this movie when I was a kid. I saw it a bunch of times. When you're a kid, even as a kid, I knew this was not a good movie. Now, mind you, even as a kid, I wasn't old enough to appreciate how smoking hot Helen Slater looked in the Supergirl uniform. That look right there, that you see all you need to see right there. That is picture perfect a costume of Supergirl. Bright colors, boobies are out there, nice legs, slim waist, pretty woman, nice hair. Total, she looked like Supergirl. The problem is, this movie is not a good adaptation of Supergirl at all. In fact, as I was talking with Sam last night, he reminded me, because I was too young to know this at the time, this is right at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, so Supergirl's origins are all kinds of fucked up. She still is Kara Zor-El in this, but they have her in inner space in a city that I guess where a bunch of Kryptonians are not even Kandor, but something else, where they're in basically another dimension, not affected, and they're just in this city that's powered by something called the Omega Hedron, city founded by Zoltar, who is played by the only person in this movie who actually did a good job acting, Sir Peter O'Toole. Sir Peter O'Toole, one of my favorite actors of all time. So Sir Peter O'Toole gave the best performance in this. And it was that's the best thing I could say about the performances. So basically what happens is, due to some stupidity, very, very lightweight story construction, the Omega Hedron gets lost and sent into outer space, the real dimension, where it lands on Earth, and Faye Dunaway's wannabe witch gets a hold of it and starts to wants to take over the world. Now, there's a lot of problems with all of this. Within this city that they're all sitting in, because then Kara decides to escape and go retrieve the Omega Hedron and bring it back. The problem is, as they're in here, they already know that Superman, Kal-El, is on Earth. How? I don't know. They somehow are able to... there's a lot of things that go on in this movie that are not explained, which makes it very hard to... It breaks the suspension. This is like, how do they know this? How do they do this? Like, perfect example. As she's in her little pod going to Earth, when she leaves her city, she's wearing her standard outfit that she was wearing in there, her standard dress. But when she emerges from the pod, she's in full Supergirl uniform. And there was some schmatas sitting on the in the pod with her that might have been that. But how did she get this uniform? How does she know how to use all her powers on Earth? And as she arrives there, she has all her powers instantaneously. She hasn't spent any time absorbing the UV rays, which they don't even talk about. They don't even talk about that. So she instantly has all basically Superman Kryptonian powers under UV light. She has all of it without explanation. Just has it. And you kind of, this is a movie kind of made for a young audience, so you kind of just go with it. But if you're a comic reader, an adult, you're questioning these things. If you know anything about Supergirl lore, you're questioning these things. So she just kind of will fumble her way into looking for it. I mean, she has and also the rules with the Omega Hedron are very nebulous. We're told that what it creates are illusions. They're not real, but it also brings life at the same time. So it's a very nebulous, and it's not clear what its limitations are. And it's not clear whether it's alive or it's an inanimate object. It's very, it's kind of like they forgot what they wanted to do with it. And they said, okay, we're going to make it something that's sort of alive, yet not alive. Anyway, so now she's going to go on a search for it. She's got a little wristlet that she made for herself, or maybe Zoltar made it, I don't remember, that she's going to use it to track it down. And she finds herself in Midvale. And, of course, she's going to run into other Superman characters from the Christopher Reeve universe. She runs into Lois Lane's little sister, Lucy Lane, which of course is a real character. Lucy Lane's a real character. Jimmy Olsen from the Superman movies will make an appearance. And of course, we will get references to Lois and Clark. And of course, right at the beginning of the movie, they make a reference that Superman is off planet traveling to another galaxy. So that's how they just kicked Clark out of the movie without having to get Christopher Reeve at the time to be in there. But it still is an in-universe movie. There is a connected universe to this. So she's gonna enroll herself into school, meet Lucy Lane, do all kinds of stuff, while Faye Dunaway's character basically tries to use the Omega Hedron to take over the world and get more magic. Of course, it all kind of and the plot is pretty simple. It's a very simple plot, and it sticks to its plot. Omega Hedron lost. Omega Hedron picked up by Villain. Villain uses it for nefarious means, and then Supergirl needs to track down the Omega Hedron and bring it back to her home city so that it doesn't die. And she'll fight things along the way. Very simple. Problem is, in the middle of it, all the girls are gooning for this landscaping dude, and they all want his D. Faye Dunaway gets a hard-on for him and must have him, even though her henchwoman doesn't wanted him first. It's all ridiculous. And love potions and this and that. It gets kind of lost, and it's very cringe and lame, but the story still flows along. And eventually Supergirl keeps getting in Faye Dunaway's way, and they end up fighting. And you could tell the budget on this movie was nothing, because at one point Faye Dunaway summons a giant nasty monster to go after Linda Lee, Supergirl's secret identity. But of course, then Supergirl gets in the way, but this thing's invisible. So you have this entire fight scene of Supergirl fighting an invisible monster and getting thrown around, and then very cheesily creating a lightning rod to shock it out of the way. It's very bad. It's very cheap special effects. But they had no budget. They had no budget. And in the end, there's more monster fighting and this and that and magic. And they encounter several times. And then during all this, in the beginning, Zoltar had said, I'm going to go to the Phantom Zone for punishment for what I've done for losing the Omega Hedron. So they also, how does these books know about the Phantom Zone? How do they send Supergirl to the Phantom Zone at one point after Faye Dunaway takes over all of Midvale using the magic and the Omega Hedron with her little Nigel boy who has a evil bone wand that's pure evil? How does she do that? She does it. Then Supergirl's in the Phantom Zone with Zoltar, and they have to get out of it, and this whole thing. And again, that is held up by Peter O'Toole, and he's the only one that gives good performance, as I said. And she gets out, she confronts him, she overcomes everything, wins the day, and everybody's going to say goodbye. She's going to take the Omega Hedron back. So it's a very simple story, very cringe a lot. The dialogue is dog shit. Don't get me wrong. The writing is terrible. Everybody is miscast in this movie. Helen Slater may be smoking hot, but her performance is her doe-eyed performance of Kara just doesn't land, especially because when the movie starts, she's behaving much younger than she has been. Right there, that's a full-on woman right there, titties and all. That's a full-on woman. But when we meet her in her city, she's behaving like a child almost. So then she's going to come to Earth, and she's going to be a woman and have sexual feelings for the landscaping guy when he kisses her. So it's just they didn't know what to do with Kara, whether to make her just the fish out of water, or someone who needs to learn, or just dumb. And everybody else, like Faye Dunaway's Selena is terrible. She overacts the entire movie. And it's not even good overacting. It's way bad. Everybody else gives shit performances and nothing to speak of. And Peter O'Toole's the only one who gives a damn. Everybody else is crap. And so poorly acted, poorly written, but still has that kind of folksy charm. The movie still has a charm to it. Because I'll admit, when she's saving the day, I am smiling while I'm watching this. Because I want to see Supergirl, Superman save the day. And they tried so hard with the soundtrack of this to emulate John Williams, and they didn't pull it off. Not at all. Not at all. Doesn't work. Unfortunately, that theme is still in my head when I watched it yesterday. I can't get it out. Point is, though, this movie is cringe. It's hokey. It's not very serious. They don't know what to do with Kara. They don't know how to properly attack Supergirl's origins and what she's going to do there. And they made shit up. And they don't explain how she knows how to do all this stuff. They depower her too. They really depower her heat vision, all that kind of stuff. And they forget she has powers. Like at one point during the final battle, when the ground is collapsing and Selina's creating like a lava pit beneath her, why isn't she just hovering? Why is she trying to maintain her footing? You're Supergirl. You can hover. You can fly. So they kind of forget she has different powers or points. But in the end, as I said, for all its dumbness, it's just a dumb, silly movie that's rather inoffensive. It's not terrible. It's just cringe and stupid. And it's a movie of the times where they didn't know how to tackle a comic book adaptation. The only reason Christopher Reeve's Superman got pulled off was because you had serious directors taking it on. This movie is not a serious movie. And yes, that's the point. Kel, you bring it up. This would have, inside of this, there could have been a really good way to deal with it, that Kryptonians, when they're superpowered, they can't handle magic. They cannot handle magic. So that is a good foil for Supergirl. But it just the thing. Yes, I know magic is her weakness. I was getting that, and I just acknowledged that. Magic is a Kryptonian's weakness in this world, but you could still hover. And there were ways to do it. That's why she had trouble with these things. But still, it's the execution was poor, because the Omega Hedron isn't magic. It's technology created by Kryptonians. But then it gets co-opted by magic. That's the problem. It loses the believability because I don't think they knew what to do. They knew, let's go with magic, but how are we going to do this and make it real? Because like I said before, they don't know if the Omega Hedron is it a living thing? Is it just an inanimate object like a computer? It's that. She never had sex with the long boy Biggles. The other one, Faye Dunaway, had sex with him. She didn't. She only kissed him. You can't get the cooties from a kiss. Anywho, so this movie it's a bad movie. It's not a good movie by any means, but it's a harmless, dumb, silly movie that is clearly of its time. And as the final part of this, yeah, that's right. They never explain anything properly. That's part of the problem. They never explain anything properly in this movie. They just go with your knowledge, you accept it. And that's part of the problem, which makes it essentially like a 4 out of 10 movie. It's a 4 out of 10 movie. It's not a good movie. But it's still better than The Room. It has a story. It has character arcs. It has purpose. And it has an actual ending. The Room is a nightmare of a movie that we've gone over. So that's the answer to the final part of Kratos' question. I have to compare this to The Room. It's better than The Room. No, Superman 4 came later. Kel, I'm pretty sure Superman 4 was 86 or 87. Let me look real quick here. Hang on. Wait here. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. 87, yeah. Superman 4 was 87. So I don't think they even made Superman 3 yet. Hang on. Superman 3. 8. Okay, no. This came right after Superman 3. So we've already had Richard Pryor. We've had 3 Superman movies at this point with Christopher Reeve. So they haven't done Quest for Peace yet. Quest for Peace came 3 years later. So this was, and then Quest for Peace was also a very bad movie, not a good movie. I mean, they had to create Nuclear Man for him to fight. I did not. Listen, I would hit on Helen Slater back then. I would totally. I mean, that she just fills it out so nicely. Fills out the costume so nicely. So there it is. Supergirl, 1984. There you go. Well, yeah, weak writing. The people who actually wrote good Superman were not a part of this. They were not. This was completely separate, yet still in universe. Anyway, there we go. Supergirl 1984. Chat, maybe watch his reviews. We're done. Another one in the books. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.